we carry on discussing the similar things about the tools. So today we will discuss model-based testing tools. So when we have implemented model-based approach for the software development, in that case we have to use tool called model-based testing tools. So what happens in this one? Here we will testing is checked against predications made by models. So we have the model, yes, model of the software. If you think about the model of a house, model of a building, they are the model. In the same manner, when we build the software, before that we will decide this would be the model of the software, and from that we will build it, and that's why we sometimes call it prototype models. When you have this construction models, yes, we call them prototype models. So what we are going to do with this one, we will verify testing is checked. We will verify against the predictions made by model. So from the models we have the predictions. From that we will build it, like how would be a description of the system behavior. Yes, so you can say system behavior. This is the assumptions or predictions made. Here what we are going to test, like as for example, and we will store system like data flows. What are the data we are going to send to one system to another system? Yes, they are also known as control flows. Decision tables. Based on the behavior we are going to make some decisions. Yes, so we will have decision tables, and these tools are used to prepare the control flows and decision tables. So accordingly we can test it. Any question with this? Okay, the next one is ATDD, BDD and TDD tools. ATDD, BDD and TDD tools. So what are these tools? ATDD stands for acceptance test driven. So when we have implemented approach like acceptance test driven, so based on our acceptance criteria we are building the software. So we enter the acceptance criteria and it will give you the business requirements from that. Okay, BDD, behavior driven framework. So when we are focusing on the behavior of the applications, and this can be written in the Gherkin syntax like given, when, then. TDD framework, test driven approach. In this we will have the test cases first, and then we will design the test cases to make the test cases pass. So ATDD stands for acceptance test driven. Yes, so when we implement, we use the tools called acceptance test driven tools. Uses test basis on the customer business requirements. So we use customers or business requirement and prepare the test cases. Yes, so we use customer or business requirements and prepare the test, means test cases. In BDD, these tools are used. You use again the same thing, the requirements, and from these requirements we prepare the behavior driven test cases. Behavior driven test cases. Yes, and we have TDD, test driven development. We are using TDD. So it is a tool to use for the development. So these test cases are designed concentrating the test of the requirements. Yes, first the test cases are prepared. And then development work is done. So these are the tools. BDD is a form of test first tool used in development. So when we have this approach, in this, when we design the test cases first and then the development is done to verify that the test cases passes, it stands for TDD. Any question? All the three came from the requirements only. Everything. So ATDD is acceptance test driven. So we have the acceptance criteria, and these acceptance criteria come from the requirement, and accordingly we test the software. This is called acceptance test driven approach. In BDD also the behavior driven approach, when we use this behavior will come from the requirement, and we are to verify we are meeting or the system is meeting the behavior of the application. In ATDD also we will have the requirements. From the requirements these test cases are prepared. So the test cases come from the requirements only. Okay, we will, if the test cases, see, instead of requirements, if I say use the word test basis, yes, then it is the correct word, but it becomes very difficult to understand sometimes when we don't know what is test basis. So any documents from there you are preparing the test cases. It could be legacy system, it could be the user stories, it could be anything. Yes, so from there your test cases are to concentrate. From this we will prepare acceptance test cases. If the system meets, then we will accept the system. Then in the next one, from this test basis we will prepare the behavior. What is the behavior of the application, and accordingly the behavior driven test cases are written and we will accept the system. In TDD we will design the test cases from the test basis and verify the system meets this criteria. Yes, so the next tool is test execution tools. So these tools are used, okay, these tools are used to accept to execute the test cases. Any tool you use, and these tools are known as test execution tools, like Selenium and UFT. There are so many test automation tools. These tools are also known as test automation tools. These tools are used to automate our test cases. So what these tools do: record test cases and expected results. Yes, so if you go in the Selenium, we will store the expected result and we will obtain the actual result and compare it and verify accordingly that the test case passes. How do we store these values? Via scripting language. So we will script it, scripting language, and capture playback tool. These tools are hardly used nowadays, but there are quite a capture playback tools like Selenium IDE. It's an add-on now. Catalan, like that. These tools are used, so you can click on record button and do some activities. It will record all these activities there, and then what happens? You stop it and then replay. When you click on play, whatever you have done manually, it will play everything. So these tools are known as capture playback tool. Okay, execute test automatically. So whenever you have the test cases in these tools, you can automatically execute them. Just you click on one play button, and if you have 1000 test cases, all these 1000 test cases will be executed. These tools also compare actual results with expected result, and then it gives you the test result, whether the test pass or fail. You get this one from this. Okay, so you have stored expected result in one of the via scripting language I said, and you obtain the actual result and compare with actual result with expected result. If they match, then you say the test case pass, otherwise you say fail. Provide test logs. So in the end, when your execution is complete, it will store the test logs, whether the test case pass or fail and where it is failing. Any question with these tools? Log means a report, kind of the test report. The test reports are known as logs. So as for example, if you have executed one test case and then in the log it says the test case pass or fail. Yes, if you have multiple, then it will give you one by one result. So it is log or report, you can say, okay. But why it is not the correct word of using the report? Because report, they are as reports only, okay. But when we execute the test cases, it stores the test result, and this place we call it test logs. Any other question? Next is test harness or unit test framework tool. So these tools are used for the preparation of the test harness. Facilitates component and component integration testing. So these tools are used for component and component integration testing. These tools simulates the environment. So when the environment is not ready, not available, then you can use them as a substitute, okay. Simulates the environment. Sometimes you know that we use simulators and emulators. You might have heard it. As for example, you want to test some physical devices. If this actual physical devices are not available, then you use some prototypes kind of thing. They are known as emulators and simulators. Next one is easy provision of stubs and drivers. So as you say that when we are doing integration testing and component integration testing or system integration testing, if some of the functionalities are not available or they are not built, then we can use these test harness tools as substitute as stubs and drivers. Any question? Coverage measurement tools. So these tools are used to measure the coverage of the application. Yes. So what it does, it measures statement decision coverage. Yes. Coverage measurement tools, they measure statement decision coverage. How? By a test, and another is by a set of tests. You can see how much coverage is done for a test or a number of test cases you are having. You can use these tools to generate the reports to verify that how much coverage measurement is done. These measurements can be done, as I said, for the statement and the decision coverage. So what happens, you can store the statements, executable statements, you can store the decision, and accordingly you have the test cases. Yes, and you link them with the decisions, you link these test cases with the statement, and it gives you how much coverage is done. When you generate a report, it is just simply, it looks like very big and complicated topic, but if you are using ALM, application lifecycle management tool, then literally it is having all these functionalities, and these functionalities are just a click and just generating the reports. When you generate a report, it says that these requirements, or when you are doing white box testing, yes, in white box testing you will have statement and decision statement, yes, as well. So you know that you have a statement, decision statement, or statement, you can say executable statement, I will say. Then you have stored it. This particular statement will have a test case, yes, and these test case or test cases you have link. That's it, you link it, and these are the tools where you can store the executable statements or decision statement, and accordingly you can link your test cases and verify you are meeting the expected coverage measurement criteria. Any question? Next month is performance load stress testing tools. Performance load stress testing tools. So there are tools available to do performance testing, load testing, stress testings. Yes, and you can use these tools to support these activities. Like for load and stress testing, simulate varying number of users. Just for example, you have a tool for load and stress testing. Then what it does, you need to have n number of load. Yes, so it simulates this n number of loads or users. Just for example, one application can handle 1000 users. Then you can use this load or stress testing tools and create virtual 1000 users and log in into the system or do the specific actions. Yes. Volume testing. So if you have a tool, if you are using a tool for volume testing, in volume testing, what you need to do? You need to do n number of transactions in a particular time. Yes, n number of transactions at one time, at a specific time. Yeah. So what you do, you use this volume testing tool to generate this specific number of transactions, and you perform this activity the same time. So you can fulfill your purpose of volume testing. Last but not least, performance testing in here. So this tool is used to measure the performance of the software, the response times and variance with load and volume here. Yes. So what it does, it measures the response time, yes, and variances with load and volume. So how you can measure? If you have one user, how much time it takes for the specific action, yes, or a specific transaction. If you have 1000 users, you verify how much time it is taking, how much time it takes. Just for example, you say at the same time there are 2000 users into the system. How much time it takes to log in for these users? At the same time, 5 million users, they are sending pressing the button, transfer the fund. Then you verify that if there are 5 users, how much time it takes, and if there are 5 million users, how much time it takes. So the performance testing tool measures the response times for the specific action. Do you have any question?